Hey YouTube, it's me, Jen, your Pudgy Picker.
And Kim.
And we are here again for another podcast. Two sisters.
One booth.
And today we are doing podcast number 41.
I was going to say, no, 40 was
that
last
sounds
week.
familiar. We
Yep.
did that last week.
Ditto.
So today we are talking about goals or changes that we're making to our booth. Now I put 2018,
Yeah.
but this really is a good time, any time, to sit and evaluate. If you haven't really looked at, trends and what's going on in your booth, maybe this is a good time. Everybody's so fascinated with New Year's resolutions and this is what I'm going to do. And
Yep.
so, it's the mindset of the time we're in right now, but these are all good points that you can use any time of year, technically. So, I guess in thinking about doing this podcast, the longer you do this, have a booth, the more you hone your skills. And we've been doing this for almost 10 years.
Yeah, we're getting so old.
So we've had a lot of time to do this, and we've ridden out many trends and seen many changes.
Yes.
So, we've gotten used to the ebb and flow
Yes.
of sales. Either, what months sell better, what months are really slow, what things sell great now, and then a couple months later you can't.
That's not a nice thing to say, is it?
No, it
Okay.
isn't. So,
yeah.
and then they just kind of, they just disappear. I don't know how.
Sorry, I can't find
How else
another
do we
word
say
other
it
than
now? I'm hung up on. What's the? I don't know. We're usually never at a loss for words. No, just things like ebb and flow, or you have this, crescendo of, boy, they're everywhere. Everybody's buying them.
Yep.
And once those items start hitting, like,
The
you go into
dollar
the
store.
the dollar store and the
And the
thrift
thrift
store,
store.
you know that the wave
Yes.
has
ended.
So, so when thinking about what changes are we going to make for our booth in 2018?
I don't like change. I shall not change.
Oh my gosh. I know. I think the older you get,
It's hard.
It is hard. Because you like things, even if you don't like things the way they are, or you're not totally happy, it's still hard to break out of that.
And the process of going through change is, I don't like it.
Well, we were talking about, we go to one particular auction. And there are so many auctions in our area. When you pull up auctionzip.com, there's literally every day of the week. There are several that are online in our area, and there are several that are within an hour driving.
Yep.
So, we get into this, we should kind of widen out and look and see what other people have. And then we go right back to the one that we always go to.
Yeah.
It's like an old shoe. You want a new pair of shoes, but the ones you have are so comfortable, and it's going to be an adjustment period.
Yeah.
So, so we're talking about doing that. So that's something that we're working on. I guess as far as items that we're not really going to be carrying anymore, or for the time being, something that I've seen, kitchen items. Now, unless it's really cute salt and pepper shakers, or a really cute, cooking dish, or
unusual.
or a Pyrex that's in such nice condition, or it's a really cool color, unless it's something really unique, or I've bought the vintage ice cream scoops, things like that, they do well. But as far as just basic everyday
Yep. Cups, saucers, plates, dishes.
wine glasses, some of it's everywhere.
Yes.
Coffee mugs.
Yeah.
We had some coffee mugs in our booth, and I recently marked 4 or 5 of them down.
Yours were, 3 of them were
They were
tea.
tea. Yeah, they had like a ceramic, like a strainer in them and lid. But I had another cup that had a little owl. It was Otagiri.
You had it in your hand and you sold it.
Yeah, I did. Another vendor.
Another vendor?
Said, ooh, I want that. I'm like, here you go.
And you didn't have enough change on her, so you even marked it down more.
I
You're
know.
such a sucker.
It needed to be. It needed to go.
And you still made a profit on it,
Yeah,
so hey,
yeah.
you're good.
So, unless it is something really, kitschy, really cute, collectible,
Yep.
just average, ordinary items, just don't bother. You can. We just went after we left our mall today. We went over to the dollar store, and literally there's an entire aisle of like the mason jar. You know, they got the handle on them, or every color you can think of wine glasses. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, they're so overly produced. Nobody wants them.
No, and they're overflowing even at the thrift stores. I went in there the one time and they had a grocery cart, and she was taking stuff off, and just the way she was piling them up in this basket, I'm like, she's going to break all those. What is she moving them, or what? She's going to break them? Then I finally said something to her, and she said, no, we let them sit for a while, and this is all going in the dumpster. She had a whole cart and was still loading to go to the dumpster because they get so much of that donated.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that is just so common. And even when I found nicer ones, like almost like a wine glass that has, like, it's not on the item, it's like a stripe of another piece of glass in it, and it's really pretty and really unique, it still sits. I have the ones, I can't even think of the name brand, but they're like painted and they have cute little sayings. I have 3 of those in the booth. They're still just sitting there. So I don't know.
The market's just been flooded with that kind of stuff.
So I mean, there's some things that we're taking a step back, because we know that every square inch in our booth is valuable space, and we want to make sure that we're putting in items that people really want, and that they could just go in anywhere else and pick them up.
Yeah.
So that's something I think that and it's funny because when you go in the thrift store, you're drawn to that stuff. You still want to pick it up, and you have to stand there and go, no, this isn't selling. Put it back down.
Yes.
So yeah, that's another habit of, oh look, I always buy this. I always buy this. Well, it doesn't always sell anymore, and you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Picture frames is another thing.
Yeah.
You have to be very selective with the picture frames. They have to be something really special, really nice, really different.
Yeah, a lot of the like metal ones that look like, almost like lace, those do well. Ones that are really themed, those do well. I have one that has like shells around it, but like you said, it has to be. It has
something
to be,
else you're drawn to. You see a lot of them, and you're drawn to them, but we learned our lesson on that too.
Well, and if you get one, even if it's really cute and it says like, baby boy 2018, I mean, it's only going to be good for so long. Or if it's like, bestie friends and it's all girly, I mean, you're really, instead of having something that anybody could put any kind of picture in, I even kind of stay away from those. So, and something else I do is I always, I've mentioned this before, but I go online, Google Images, and I'll type in what I think would go with the frame. Like I had ones that looked like they were like old barn wood, and it had like a little metal, like a little sheriff star, and I printed a picture of like a little newborn baby in a cowboy hat and little cowboy boots, and put it in there. So I theme them out with a picture before I bring them in, and that seems to help. So maybe they just take it home and just put it on the shelf. Who's that? Oh, that's my grandson in Texas. I don't get to see him much. Hey, what was it Rodney Dangerfield used to say when his dad had a wallet and it came with pictures in it? His dad would keep the pictures instead of putting pictures of him in it.
You just dated yourself.
I know.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Who doesn't know who Rodney? Okay.
Yes.
If you don't know, Google it.
Comment in below. Let us know.
Yeah. He was a unique comedian back in the day.
Yes.
The other thing is, and I think we're pretty good about this, and we've especially been good at it since we did the changes in our booth, but making sure you bring in new items every week.
Yeah.
And I know that may not be easy for everybody, but that, if you buy a lot of stuff, then bring in a certain amount of it, and then bring in more of it, to do that. You have to keep things new, things fresh. I bring in new items, and I know I have people that shop in our booth every week.
Yes, we do.
And they're looking for new stuff.
Yep.
So if I do that, I keep them coming back. So that's something that I definitely can do. Something else that I think that we kind of, I don't know, I don't think we made it a priority, And it's something now that I've really made sure is we have a space in the back that we can put in a certain amount of piece of furniture or large art hanging from the wall. We, as soon as we sell something, we are on top of, okay, right away, who's going to bring out what? When are you going to bring it out? You know, so we have that space back there. We're allotted a certain amount of items, and we don't want to waste that by not having something up there.
Yeah.
So that's something else that we've made a conscious effort doing. I just remembered.
Good.
Remember I said I want to write that down, and then I completely forgot.
Yes.
I just remembered again.
Write it down right now. Right now.
No, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it, and then I
Say it.
won't have to remember.
All right, go.
Something else I've been doing, if you get a report that has a readout of what you've sold, something I've been doing is I'm making a conscious effort to have more items that are $10 and above. We have a lot of smalls. We do really well on smalls. We make a decent amount of money for what we sell, but I've been trying to make sure I have a, you know, not a certain amount of items that are over 10, but I'm trying to, you know, bump that up a little bit.
Yeah.
So this last check, I had 20 items that were $10 and up. So I was like, yeah. So I'm keeping an eye on that, and I'm going to keep bringing in and keep trying to have items that are a little bit higher of a quality to bring up the average price of items that I'm selling. So that's something else you could do. You could, how many items you sold and your total, and then divvy that up and see if you can raise that average price. I know people do that for eBay as well. You know, you're trying to, you know, you're doing the same amount of work to list stuff on eBay, whether it's worth $5 or $50. So to try and find higher end items, I mean, I know we'd all love to just go and find stuff that's always, you know, worth $75 and up. That may not always be the way it works, but you're putting in the same amount of work. Why not try and, you know, bump that number up a little bit? Something else I think we've done this year especially is we're trying to add new products to not just have sourcing items from secondhand, like thrift stores and garage sales, and that's just kind of whatever you find, that I'm trying to carry certain items regularly. And that would be my bamboo plants, my air plants, incense I've carried probably for the last couple of years, and soap I added just a few months ago. So items that I know a wholesale place, excuse me, that I can go, that I can get a decent price, that I can get consistently good resellable merchandise at a price that's going to make me money.
Yeah,
So
that's what it comes down to. Just make sure that you're not going to put out for it, not get anything back on it.
Yeah, and just the thing is, when you start searching wholesale places to just kind of dig around and see what's available,
You get a lot of junk up.
So stay away from the cheapy dollar store stuff.
Yes.
And the little cheapy stuff that's all plastic made in China. I mean, I know we can't always avoid that. But the point is, if you're going to go out and buy something, you know, that you want to resell consistently, a novelty type item isn't going to sell a lot. It's not going to sell for a lot. And, you know, it usually is like a, you know, a fad-ish kind of item, and it's not going to have sustaining value. Incense and the plants and the soap is something I can carry year-round, and I can get more than a few bucks for it. So that's certainly worth it. So when you're looking at stuff and you're trying to find things to order, you know, break it down. You get this, you know, this big lot. You know, figure out how much is it per piece and how much can I sell it for that it's going to be worth my while. Because if a lot of times, like with the incense, I put out $50 to $75 in one pop. And then it's a slow trickle of that money going out. And then finally, then it's, you know, you're making the profit. So, you know, if you figure out how much it is per item, you know, and then you can say, is this really worth, you know, if you buy something for $1 and you're selling it for $2, it's not worth your time. It's not worth the space in your booth. And if you have a percentage that's taken as well as rent, I mean, you're practically giving things away, and it's just not worth it.
No.
Also, and this is something we've tried to do, and it's not always easy. We're talking about that habit thing again. is going outside of your comfort zone. Change. The change word. So, you know, it's so easy to go thrifting or garage selling, and you're like, oh, that's so cute. I like that. That's cute. Well, you know what? There's other stuff you look at and go, but you could tell it's something of quality. You know, maybe kind of go outside your comfort zone and pick up something that maybe you aren't drawn to, but your customers might be.
I do that too when we go to the auctions and you get that chance to walk around first. And I really had to start pushing myself for that, because you tend to look, oh, is that, oh. But then there's stuff sitting up there, and then I sit down and I'm thinking, I am here not to buy stuff for me. I am here to make money. So I make it more of a habit. And you can, when you look at something, you can tell it's got value or possible value to it.
Yeah.
So I take a minute, write it down, you know, at the auction. I write down generally what it is or whatever, and then I sit down and I look it up and research it real quick. And there's been a number of times, there were some little doll things there once. Remember the little doll pieces and stuff when I told you?
Oh, yeah, I bought them, and I did pretty well on them, too.
Yeah, she did well on them. So sometimes it's not even, it's just when you look at something, sometimes you know, but a lot of us are like, oh, that's probably worth something, but I don't have time. Take the time.
Just like you wouldn't want to go, wow, I bet you that's worth a lot of money, and then you pick it up and it's not worth anything, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as like, even like, not commodity items that, you know, you can look up and there's a definite value, but something, you know, a decorative or, you know, art or whatever. I mean, you can look at something, you can tell when something's well made, and you can tell when an effort has been put into creating something, as opposed to just slapped together and, you know,
dollar store.
Yeah, that's the point. So, you know, you see something like that and you think, you know, you can really tell that something like that took amount of time to make or to create, or boy, I don't think I've ever seen one of those, or it was years since I saw something like that. So, you know, you're trying to get away from what everybody's doing now. See, that's the problem. We like the stuff that trends, but we also like weird stuff too.
Yes, you want something that's different, that's not everybody else is going to have.
Because you think, well, everybody likes this or that, or this is trending or that's trending. That stuff sells. But long term, if you're finding something a little bit odd, a little bit weird, you know, that's what I look for when I go. And a lot of that stuff I put on eBay because, you know, people say, well, what do you sell on eBay? And I always say, if you go to a garage sale or a thrift store and you look and go, who in the world would buy that? I say, that's what I'm looking for. Yep. That's the weird, odd thing that I can put up, you know, maybe on eBay for like $100, and people are going to go, wow, that really looks weird and cool, and they got a lot on it. So I think, well, I think it's worth it. Yeah. So it's that perceived value. Ding, 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 we didn't even practice that. So yeah, it's that, you know, you add, you know, you put the high price on there. It's something really weird, or you can't ever find one to compare it to. And there's people that are like, you know what? I don't know if I've ever seen that, and I don't know when I'll see it again. I want it. So yeah, so those are some of the things that we're changing up, things that we're not doing anymore, things that we're trying to do new. I think it's good every once in a while, and maybe the beginning of the year is the time to say, let me think about these things.
It's something important to do in your life in general, is once in a while try to take yourself out of the situation and reevaluate things, what you need to change.
What's working and what's not working.
You know, like driving a car, you constantly have to adjust the car. You don't get in like little kids and you put your hand on the wheel and you yank it left and right, and or just hold straight. You know, yeah, that's true. But, you know, there's always slight readjustments through driving, and it's the same way with life, slight readjustments. So business, the same way. You got to continue to make adjustments, and sometimes you just have to take that moment to sit and look it over real good and make some decisions.
Yeah, it's, like we said, we're constantly making adjustments. You know, what is new, what is trending, what is tried and true, and it's a combination of those two things that that really, you know, makes things work. Because there are people that, these things are trending, that's what I'm looking for. And we want to appeal to them, but we want to appeal to people who like the old or odd, unusual things as well, and things that you just don't see every day. So it's nice to appeal to a lot of different people, so that you, you know, you get that a lot of customers. You're not narrowing it down to a certain age group, a certain, you know, genre, a certain style of decorating. You know, you're working hard to, you know, to appeal to more people, because then you make more money that way. You know, if you have there's some people who have booths styled a certain way, a certain color scheme, a certain era, and that's great if you get a customer that loves that. Mm-hmm. They may go in there and buy a ton of stuff, but a lot of people, if they see it's very narrow view, will just kind of, oh, that's interesting looking, and just keep on walking. Mm-hmm. So that's something we definitely are cognizant of. So, you know, reevaluate. Think about where you are. Think about how your booth is doing. You know, talk to other vendors. You know, what are you selling? You know, what is trending with you? You know, what have you been picking up? There was one of the vendors brought in a whole bunch of, they look like drawers from like a card catalog, but they had real pretty fronts. And somebody went in and bought like all of them and offered her a price, but it was like $225, $230 for all those. Yeah. Because I was like, oh. And the vendor was there, and she goes, yeah, I just brought those in, and somebody bought all of them. And I said, nice drawers. So we had a good laugh.
She said, those aren't even my good Sunday drawers.
But they were beautiful, you know, the chippy paint and, you know, the porcelain.
I mean, they were old. These weren't,
oh, yeah.
These weren't something you'd buy and make new to look old. These were real live old.
They were genuinely beat up from years and years of use, which is awesome. Natural patina, as we call it.
Yep.
So, do you have anything else to add?
I think that's good.
We about covered it.
I think so.
So, we hope that you enjoyed our podcast this week. Please give this video podcast a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. You can also send me an email with any questions or comments if you need me to look at them or you don't want to leave them down below. My email is jen@pudgypicker.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter under The Pudgy Picker. And we will see you next time.
Okay.
We won't see you.
Well,
you'll hear us next week.
Next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.